共に取り組めることを期待しています。
連日我々は協調の瞬間を刻む。それは両国が共に前へ進む覚悟を世界に示す合図だ。協調とは単なるものの交換ではない。それは信頼を共有すること、そして目的を共有することだ。中国は確信を持って動く、忍耐を持って自ら誇示する必要のない力とともに。この現実を理解する者にとって進歩とは実にたやすい。
The elbozo, or Liberalis fanaticus, is a hardy, long-lived species commonly found in the settled regions of eastern Canada, though sightings persist even in the west. This boomer subspecies has adapted remarkably well to stable habitats, paid-off mortgages, cushy pensions, and reliable access to Canadian Liberal Party talking points brought to them by the CBC. Notice the distinctive behavior, the rhythmic flopping of elbows up and down in unison, often performed in groups during moments of high agitation. The signature call rings out clear and insistent, elbows up, a rallying cry that echoes across lawns, community halls, and comment sections alike. Elbozos display an extraordinary focus on external threats, particularly the distant figure of Donald Trump, whom they perceive as a greater threat than any domestic challenge. Its attention to the affordability struggles of younger Canadians remains limited. Having long secured its own nesting site and food cache, the elbozo prioritizes the preservation of established comforts. It derives much of its worldview from a single, trusted source, the CBC, consuming daily broadcasts with the same steady dedication the beaver shows to its dam. Ever seen an elbozo? Well, look, here it is now, elbows flapping vigorously in defense of the status quo. For a more complete story of elbozos, why not contact the Canadian Wildlife Service in Ottawa?
Evan Balgord, Executive Director of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
Bernie Farber, Chair of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
He's a nonpartisan nonprofit.
We wear our biases on our sleeves. We are very proudly anti-fascist, and we focus on the far right.
Last summer, we had a 100-year-old church burned to the ground.
Canada's leaders aren't condemning the burning of churches. No, they're endorsing the burning of churches.
I understand that it's not your organization's mandate to talk about these things. As you've said, you're clearly focused on the far right.
COVID conspiracy theories.
Safe and effective.
They kill. They kill.
This so-called convoy actually seeded the ground for the worst display of Nazi and racist propaganda that I have ever seen in this country. Bullies, racists, bigots, and Nazis.
We now have over 300 active hate groups in Canada.
There's other groups that we're very concerned about.
Jeremy Mackenzie, the de facto leader of the Diagolon movement, a neo-Nazi organization.
Accelerationists who want to violently overthrow the system.
No fighting, no spitting, no throwing anything, don't even litter.
Who are now also encouraging their members to join.
If there's a speed limit on walking, walk slower than that.
One of the key figures of that, Jeremy Mackenzie, his slogan is gun or rope.
If they say it's now illegal to look at the sky, then look at the ground. Be good, for the love of God.
Do you know if the Canada Anti-Hate Network's views about you have been relied upon by law enforcement or other senior officials in the federal government?
Yes, I have.
Diagolon.
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 A far-right extremist group.
We're talking about a group that is organized, driven by an extreme ideology.
A so-called accelerationist group.
Formed by a former member of the Canadian Armed Forces.
Which aims to accelerate racial conflict to lead to the eventual creation of a white ethno-state.
Its stated purpose is, quote, to incite a race war.
The means to justify a state of emergency.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act.
There's some people that just want their lives back. And they enact the War Measures Act, the Emergency Measures Act, to justify a violent and brutal crackdown on old people and women and wounded veterans. You beat wounded veterans in the street, you scum!
What if I told you the organization and the individuals responsible for pushing this are being exposed right now in Canada?
It all circles back to one group, and that's the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
That is pretty fair to say.
Liberal-funded Antifa propaganda. That's what the government of Canada was making their decisions on.
You were supposed to be grown-ups, confirm things and look into things.
The RCMP recognized that Diagolon was not a criminal group, it was not a terrorist entity, and they had trouble even defining it as a group at all. This whole narrative, they knew it was bunk.
The justification of the Emergencies Act during the trucker convoy came from lies from anonymous Twitter trolls from anti-hate.
Uncovered in HateGate is a string of emails from government officials.
Politician goes on TV and says that, oh, there's this terrorist group involved in the convoy. Then people say, can you back up your statement? And he says, talk to law enforcement. And then law enforcement is like, oh crap, we gotta find something. So they just spend 15 minutes, Google Diagolon, and come up with this hit piece.
That Global News article conveniently sources one expert. That expert is from the Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
But it's the circle jerk, this vicious circle of one person feeding fake information to another, who then finances those people to provide the fake information so they can then launder it off to whomever they need to in order to justify whatever fabricated crisis they financed that never existed in the first place.
I consider it the single most embarrassing and grotesque intelligence failure in national history.
Sometimes you gotta tear it all down, start over again. Put the key in and drive. Send your mind on down the road. Pass everything you know. Turn your wheels and go just drive. Put some blacktop in front of you. Let those white lines run under you. Heading for some across the desert. See those Vegas lights. Take a drive down Main Street. People do it all the time. People do it all the time. Cruise up to the mountains. Get close to the stars. If you find yourself unhappy where you are, just get in your car and drive. Send your mind on down the road, past everything you know. Turn your wheels and go, just drive. Put some blacktop in front of you. Let those white lines run under you. Heading for somewhere, leaving something behind. Just drive. It don't matter at all, just it don't matter at all, just it don't matter at all, just
We for victory. Canada first, baby. Let's go. Canada first. Canada first. Canada first. Canada first. Canada first. Canada first. Canada first, baby. Let's go. Fuck Trudeau. These globalists need to fall. Hey, Auntie Kate, what do you think about this? Give me an HH. Honk, honk! It's a great day to come out here and support our truckers. Oh, look at this! It's the fake news CBC, boy! They're going into hiding. Fake news, go! Don't worry, we're ready for you guys too. Yo, this guy's got the gas! Growing for you out here, we're holding the line!
Of free peoples, freely pledging loyalty to a common ideal, a common heritage, a common tie.
I'm slowly drifting to you. Stars and planets are calling me.
The Charlottetown Conference set Confederation in motion. On July 1st, 1867, Sir John A. Macdonald became Canada's first Prime Minister.
Deep within the manicured wilderness of Parliament Hill, one can observe a truly fascinating specimen, the political weasel. Known to scholars of ethics as Blackphaceus corruptus, this cunning creature has adapted beautifully to an environment thick with lobbyists, hashtags, and plausible deniability. While outwardly charming, the political weasel possesses a complex social structure based entirely on self-preservation. It communicates primarily through carefully rehearsed empathy and subsists on a diet rich in taxpayer-funded travel and curated outrage. Natural predators include weary voters and access to information requests, though prolonged exposure to friendly journalists often renders it functionally invincible. In times of stress, the Blackphaceus employs a remarkable defense display. A flourish of public remorse, followed swiftly by vacation. Over the years, several distinct migrations have been recorded. The infamous SNC Lavalin vines entangled it briefly before it slipped free on a technicality. Its excursion down the Wee Charity Trail remains a source of confusion to conservationists, as it involved both kinfolk and ethical erosion in equal measure. Yet resilience defines the political weasel. Even amid scandal, it thrives, shedding accountability with the same ease it sheds staff. Its natural camouflage, a blend of carefully tousled hair and moral flexibility, ensures survival in nearly any ideological climate. For more information on the political weasel, please contact the Canadian Wildlife Service in Ottawa.
The global roach, a resilient invertebrate thriving amid economic upheavals and political scrutiny, often labeled unkillable in government-funded media. Inhabits high-finance crevices from Bank of Canada vaults to UN climate bunkers and Brookfield boardrooms, scurrying through Davos debris and Ottawa policy piles. Survives trade wars, tariffs, and snap elections unscathed. Hoards resources from its nest to more fertile domains at the cost of its brethren. Immune to populism, it thrives on nationalism surges, observe raiding pantries in resilient economies. Tends to cower and capitulate to a more dominant adversary. Report infestations to opposition benches. For more information on the global roach, contact the Canadian Wildlife Service in Ottawa.
We've got the right to choose it. There ain't no
classic to Canada. As the statue hits the ground, McDonald's head pops off.
Queen of Canada.
The children sang Dieu sauve le roi.
「共に取り組めることを期待しています」。
連日我々は協調の瞬間を刻む。それは両国が共に前へ進む覚悟を世界に示す合図だ。協調とは 単なるものの交換ではない。それは信頼を共有すること、そして目的を共有することだ。中国は確信を持って動く、忍耐を持って自ら誇示する必要のない力とともに、この現実を理解する者にとって進歩とは実にたやすい。
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Canada First with your host, WHITEPILL. Back at it again. You guys like the fresh cut? I'm all smooth. And shit. Yeah, I figured I just got tired of dealing with the buzz cut all the time, so I figured at this point might as well just rip the band-aid and live the bald life, which honestly, not that bad. Really not that bad. I used to have fucking hair just past my shoulder. Sorry for the swearing. Past my shoulders. So I've been there and back. I've been for the whole ride. Now we're trying something new. I'm in my golden era. That's what we're calling it. In any case, thank you all for joining me on another lovely evening. Apologies for the delay for the episode. Had some scheduling issues that have since been corrected. So we are back. Lots to talk about today. And some new stuff that I wanted to announce for the Canada First project, which number one being, we have a store. We have a store now. If you go to stickermule.com/whitepill, and the link I will pop into the chat, if you just follow it there, you can find our first merch drops, which are some stickers. If you use referral code WHITEPILL, you can get, I believe it's $10 towards your purchase. I believe it's just so 7 for 1 sticker. Look at these lovely quality stickers. Waterproof, weatherproof, high quality, the highest of qualities. And you can get 5 stickers for about 20, 10 stickers for about 35, with some taxes and all that. Shipping is free. So that'll certainly help. But in any case, yeah, buy some stickers, support the show, do what you can. We're gonna have shirts and more merch coming down the line, but at the moment, this is our first offering. The classic elbows up, Carney Don't Question Brookfield sticker, or if you prefer the alternative, Crookfield. Look at that. Look at that crisp design. Look at that font. The grayscale Carney. You guys don't realize just how much work I put into this. You guys don't even know. You don't even know. But you too can enjoy yourself by putting these stickers up in only places where you should put them. Do not, at any cost, put them up on public transit, and generally anywhere that a sticker should not be. Do not do that. Do not. I am actively advising against you doing so. So you guys better follow the rules. In any case, yeah, you can check out the store there. Link is in the chat and also in the bio.link. It is the first link there now. We have a merch store up and running. So more stuff coming down the way. If you want to support the stream, just simply liking, commenting, and subscribing is more than enough on the primary platform for Canada First, which is Rumble. So if you are watching the stream on any other platform right now, I would highly recommend that you could switch over to Rumble. There is also a referral link if you want to sign up if you don't have an account for some reason on Rumble. The hottest place to be these days. Okay, all right. In all seriousness, if you want to support the stream in an additional way, you are more than welcome to send some funds with a donation text and the PayPal link. I don't read chat mid-stream, so this will be the best way to get a message to pop up on stream, or if you have any questions for me that you'd like answered. We also, as always, have a Telegram chat where you can talk to me. I am active here and there, sometimes posting voice notes and additional content for all your Canada First needs. Sorry, it's been a long day, stumbling over myself. Yeah, check out the Telegram. Lots of cool stuff happening there. Anything, any and all updates regarding the project are always either on X or on Telegram. So that is where you can find all of that. And yeah, I guess without further ado, we'll get into the show. Let me just put up the poster here, or rather the store, while we do some preamble. So Channel 5 just dropped an interview with Nick Fuentes and Hunter Biden, which has gone viral, predictably so. And it was about what I expected. Honestly, there wasn't going to be some kind of a massive, how do I put this, revelation that that wasn't apparent before. I mean, you know who these people are going in. Hunter Biden has been on a press tour for, God, I don't even know how long at this point. I think it's like an hour and a half watch. It's worth watching. I mean, it's Nick dunking on libs, essentially. That's what the whole thing ended up being. Here, let me see if I can pull it up on Rumble there. Yeah, so they got it on Rumble. Yeah, predictably, Nick Fuentes was the main topic of conversation for the most. No, not it wasn't him, but it was his beliefs. And it was a fairly cordial conversation with a couple of contentious moments. But what it really just came down to is Nick holding his own against somebody who was so bewildered, so shocked by his worldview that he couldn't fathom how somebody could come to his conclusions. And it's funny because what Hunter Biden was doing, it represents the totality of reasons for why movements like Canada First and America First exist in the first place. Like, there were multiple moments throughout the interview that Hunter Biden just tried to straight up lecture Nick Fuentes on Holocaust denialism, or what it means to make jokes, and just this weird talking down that Nick rightfully pointed out as like, look, you can keep doing that all you like, but this is part of the problem. Why nobody is actually taking these opinions seriously that Biden was espousing, or most opinions from the left really, is because we're just sick and tired of hearing it. Since grade school, since middle school, since high school, since university and college, I mean, this stuff has been inescapable. It's everywhere. It's permeated through every institution, public and private. If it's not ESG, then it's DEI. If it's not DEI, then it's racial hiring quotas. If it's not racial hiring quotas, then it's on the news. This ideology is everywhere. It's inescapable. Right? And it's fundamentally toxic. not just to itself and to its own goals, but it's toxic to the progression of human civilization, fundamentally. Right? It tries to teach us sensitivity from upon high. Not teach us, but it tries to force us to be sensitive, to be attendant to everyone else's needs. But when the needs of anybody that's white is brought up, or the needs of a nation are brought up in a nationalist sense, right, to look after its citizens first and everyone else second, that's apparently when it becomes a problem. That's when it's not okay. That's when it reaches a boiling point. And Biden's argument in the spoiler alert, and Biden's argument in the interview when he says that the reason that Nick is popular is because he speaks on behalf of disaffected young white men that can't get a job and feel disenfranchised and so on and so forth. It's not that we feel disenfranchised. It's not just that. Like, that is one of the reasons why these movements are gaining ground, why there's more and more men turning to what's considered now the far right. It's not just that. It's not some economic variable. It's the fact that we have been stratified and separated in just about every way in our daily life. And Nick rightfully pointed this out on his show later on. He said something to the extent that men feel alienated by society because our roles are now usurped by women who are also earning. Our roles as protectors are usurped because anytime a man actually tries to step into a conflict, he gets his life blown up, essentially. A man tries to defend a woman. Like, there's that infamous incident in New York, I remember maybe like 2 years ago. A guy was trying to, I don't know if he was homeless or not, but he was trying to rape this woman or assault her or steal something. And this, other passenger on the train, he pulls out a gun. He starts waving it in the face of the guy, being like, dude, if you don't back the fuck off, I will shoot you. And so the man eventually ran off, right? The perpetrator, the assaulter. And the woman, when she was questioned on it, she basically said, oh, I'm glad somebody stepped in, but why did he have to bring out a gun? Why did he have to do that? And it's like, okay, what the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing here? And we've been separated from our nation's identities and what makes our nations unique and worth saving. We've been taught to demonize them because they had some not even mistakes, but some cruel and not unjustifiable. What's the best way to say this? There's some ugly parts of our history as a nation in both Canada and America, respectively. And that's like as if every nation on the planet hasn't had something within its history that makes its people ashamed of it. Whether it was a bout of slavery or a genocide or what have you, mistreatment of a people. I mean, nobody is immune from this. But here in the West, we're supposed to somehow be uniquely responsible or feel some kind of guilt. That it's the white man keeping everybody down. It's 2026, man. What the fuck are we talking about? It's just I don't know. I can't really stomach that kind of stuff. I can't really tolerate it. Whenever I hear somebody talking in this way, my brain just shuts off. I can't. And that's essentially what the interview was, or rather discussion panel, what have you, with Hunter Biden there. He was trying to lecture Nick on these things that he said in the past, and it's like, well, yeah, he is a reaction to everything that your political side has done to him. And are you really surprised that somebody that went through what Nick Fuentes did? I mean, the guy, since he was 17, 18, hasn't had a normal life. He went to college, had to drop out because he was getting too much heat over his streaming and whatnot, was eventually debanked, put on a no-fly list, ushered out of polite society, ostracized to the max. And it's like, yeah, a person that goes through that, somebody that experiences something like that, they're going to have some kind of opinions on the political machinations of the society in which they live in. They're going to have some radical opinions. Are we really surprised here? You push this guy to his limit. What the fuck do you expect? It's just, yeah, I found the whole thing really strange, how Biden was trying to hold Nick accountable for these things, or try to explain it away as if the truth wasn't staring right at him. I mean, it's unreal. It's unreal. Anyways, it's a good interview. Highly recommend, or rather, good discussion. Highly recommend watching it. But yeah, Nick essentially, if he just sits there and just dunks on Biden. Biden speaks over him multiple times, doesn't let him get a word in. There's all these personal attacks at times, and it's like, all right, dude, what are we doing here? Are we two adults having a conversation, or are you just gonna sit here and lecture me on stuff? Anyways, yeah, it went as just about as I expected. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention before before we get into the show. So this festival just opened up this weekend, called Bigot Fest. Let me see if I can find the original post for the actual poster, because it is. I mean, this is funny. This is objectively funny. Where is it? I want to see if I can. There it is. Bigot Fest: food, fights, family, and fun for all. Friday to Sunday. Look, this is all clearly AI made. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of funny. I don't know if this event actually happened or if it went down. It caused some controversy. Like, the CTV got a hold of it. B'nai B'rith, the Jewish organization, spoke out against it. Look, I don't know what kind of reaction you're expecting if you're going to call your gathering Bigot Fest. I mean, at that point, you're just kind of, you're doing it to yourself. But what would be actually even funnier is if this happened and all it was, right, all the bigot stuff, all it was is just families having a picnic in a park. That would be funny. See, because that's actually making the point that, yeah, we're not bigots, we're actually just rational, normal people, and we have families and children and things that we care about and want to defend about Canada. So I don't know if this event is still going on or what's happening with it. Because, like I said, look at the faces of the people. This is so AI. You could tell immediately. So I don't even know to what extent it's real. So apparently, some reporter was sent to the location, but it says here TBA times TBA. So who the fuck knows if it's real? I just saw it pop up on my feed the other day, and yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know what more can be said. This isn't exactly going to win anybody over, though. This isn't exactly constructive activity. If this planned to be like an actual festival, if they actually plan to make something out of it, yeah, maybe don't call it Bigot Fest. There's no need to give the enemy more ammo. They already have plenty. They certainly don't need any help. And yeah, without further ado, I guess we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it, which is Bill C-9. This is something that I'd wanted to cover last week. Did not get the chance to, just because I wanted to do some digging on the contents of Bill C-9 and what it actually means. So, for the uninitiated, Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act, it received royal ascension on July the 18th, which was a week ago. So, initially, this bill was proposed in series with other bills that had to do with digital ID, and countering hate speech, and so on and so forth. This is essentially the liberals' move to have the government and its police arm, or its extension through police, have more tools and power to arrest people and to charge people with hate crimes. Now, initially, the idea behind this was, how do I put this? It was done under the guise of protecting people in places of protest and protecting people from hateful acts. Because Canada has seen a sharp rise in hate crimes and hateful acts, or anything that is deemed a hateful act, for the last couple of years. Well, ever since really the Israel-Palestine war kicked off. The streets of Toronto have been filled with protesters a number of times. We've had Jewish businesses be plastered or sprayed with various liquids, paint, blood, what have you. There have been protesters that will go marching and stop at a Jewish-run business and start yelling at people. We've had the U.S. consulate was shot up. A bunch of Jewish schools were shot up in drive-bys, which, like, this wasn't happening during school hours. This was happening after hours or in the hours of the early morning. So the purpose wasn't to actually shoot the people inside. It was just to, I guess, send a message. There were a number of protests that happened where these pro-Palestine protesters were actually, like, a block, not even a block away, standing on a bridge in a prominent Jewish neighborhood in Toronto, essentially intimidating all the people that live there. As if the Jewish families living in that area have any bearing on what Netanyahu does. Like, this is what I've never really understood. These protesters, their messaging, I understand. They're trying to stand up for the people of Palestine who are going through a genocide, right? Still, to this day. But their tactic is to start bothering and, in some cases, even assaulting or otherwise harassing regular, everyday Jews. Which, like, I mean, you can go to the Israel consulate. You can go outside of these pro-Jew organizations. You can actually protest at their headquarters or outside of political supporters of the cause for Israel. Right? Like, there are effective places to actually hold these protests. I'm not sure what message beyond targeted harassment they're trying to send when they go to these neighborhoods. It just seems, it seems very strange on the face of it that this isn't in any way acknowledged or policed effectively. I mean, these people were allowed to get away with it. Like, wasn't the Pride Parade at one point stopped because of pro-Palestine protesters? Yeah, last year. Just last year, CBC reported on August 29th that Ottawa's annual Pride Parade was canceled on Sunday after it was halted by the pro-Palestine protesters. And also, I love that the irony is not, or not that the irony, I love that they are so brain dead that they don't realize that if Palestinians saw a gay person in the street, a flamboyantly gay person in the street, they would take them and throw them off a roof. I mean, this is just beyond parody. Marching, protect trans kids with the Palestinian. Yeah. In any case, it's the madness speaks for itself. Right, but this is ongoing. Now it's kind of slowed down. I remember U of T was taken over at one point. The campus had like a camp in where people just like straight up took over the quad. There are multiple universities in America where people were straight up just not allowed to go to classes because they were bolted. The doors were closed shut and people were holding it inside. They were occupying it inside. So this, back to the Bill C-9, the purpose of the bill was to essentially make it so that Jewish neighborhoods and Jewish people would be protected from these protests, right? This is the foundation of the bill. The language in it is very broad because it says that it amends the criminal code on hate propaganda, hate-motivated crime, intimidation, obstruction of access to places of worship, schools, community centers, and related matters. And it speaks specifically to targeted, or rather identifiable groups. So racially identifiable, identifiable by their sexuality, any group that can be identified by a certain characteristic is affected, or rather is protected by Bill C-9, supposedly. Right? The concern here with Bill C-9 is that it primarily protects a single group at the cost of everybody else. Because as you see here, in terms of the organizations that supported the passing of Bill C-9, the NGOs and the political organizations, they're all Jewish. Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs, Alliance of Canadians Combating Anti-Semitism, B'nai B'rith Canada, Canadian Women Against Anti-Semitism, Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center, and so on and so forth. But these are all Jewish associations. Right? And the people that spoke against the passing of Bill C-9, or that raised points of contention with Bill C-9, and just scroll down here. The Canadian Civil Liberties Association, the International Civil Liberties Monitoring Group, the Canadian Constitution Foundation, and the Center for Free Expression. These organizations speak on behalf of all people, not just Jewish people. They speak on behalf of all people. Right? And so this bill, as I said before, it's a direct response to the rise of anti-Semitism happening in Canada. And not just sentiment, but actual, actions that have been taken against people. But it undercuts the safety and the well-being of everybody else at that cost. Right? The problem comes to light when you consider the long-term consequences of applying such a law to everyday life in Canada. Because this now makes it the responsibility, or rather it opens up the possibility for police to now be arresting people and charging them under Bill C-9. It used to be that to be charged for a hate crime or a hate-related offense in Canada, it had to go through the Attorney General. But now that is no longer the case. Now cops are allowed to arrest and charge people under Bill C-9. And the problem with that, the primary problem with that, is number one, now cops need to have training that makes it so that they understand what a hateful symbol is and what a hateful symbol isn't. And so if that's the case, if they need to understand this, and not even just symbols, but rhetoric and actions and so on and so forth, right? They now have to define what actually constitutes a hateful action. Does from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free? Is that a hateful term? Do they have to dissect that? What about when it comes to the trans community? Right? What about when it comes to the fact that people are coming out and protesting against the transing of the kids? Are they now going to be targeting them as well because they are an identifiable group? You can see them from miles away. You can smell them from miles away, even in some cases. Right? So now we're essentially putting the onus, the responsibility, on deciphering in the moment whether what is being said, the symbol that is being used, is hateful and in what context. I mean, do the people that wrote this bill even understand? Do they even comprehend like the layers of cultural understanding and just political awareness that you need to have in order to understand these things? Do they even what kind of training are they expected to receive? And if this is happening nationwide, then what kind of standards are they going to be using? Is this something that's going to be developed within the individual police units? Is this something that the police are going to have to ask the feds on? We don't know. We don't know. And that's not even mentioning the fact that this bill, right, the initial draft of the bill, or rather I believe it was the second draft, where the NDP, they tried to shove in a motion. They put it to a vote. They essentially wanted to make it so that residential school denialism was now put in as what is considered hateful rhetoric or hateful conduct. Right? So they would make it so that anybody who questioned the severity or the story of the 215 missing kids, as they put it, anybody that questioned that narrative, anybody that spoke out against it, would now be considered a residential school denier. And they would be charged under Bill C-9. Now, thankfully, cooler heads prevailed, and they removed that condition from the bill, because that would have been insane. I mean, now you are straight up charging people on a history that is made up. Right? There was a story just the other day that the tribe, or rather the band, that received the $12.5 million from the federal government to exhume the bodies, to search the area, to find some actual evidence of these missing kids. Right? They said, oh, we haven't found them yet. We haven't found them yet, and it's going to take more time. And also, you're not allowed to see into our finances. You're also not allowed to see how we're spending this money, this taxpayer money, your money, my money. So we were forced to believe the lie, and then when we asked for proof, they said that we can't see their evidence. Like, do you guys see where this is going? Do you guys see where the issue is yet? Right? If Bill C-9 can be used as it stands right now just to combat anti-Semitism, which is the primary focus of the bill, right? It added an extra condition for the swastika, which is now not allowed. And before we move on, this would technically, right? And I'm using this as an illustration of what would be considered going against Bill C-9. So let me just put that disclaimer out there. This is now considered a hate symbol. I see nothing wrong with it. It's a lovely rainbow. I see nothing wrong with this symbol. I'm not so sure why people are so butthurt about it. It's a lovely. It's the pride flag. Who of us truly hates the pride flag? It's so colorful. But this right here would be an example of what is considered a hateful symbol. So whatever you do, do not screenshot this, and do not look for this image. Do not look for rainbow swastikas and plaster them everywhere. Do not do that. I am advising you to not do that. As I was saying, so this added the condition to the swastika being a hateful symbol, which the Hindus had to have a little conversation with the Canadian government on, because it is a religious symbol in some contexts for them. So I'm not sure what kind of workaround they came up with for that, but apparently there were consultations for that. And also the noose. The noose. Anytime a noose is used in a symbol in a protest, it is now considered a hateful symbol, which, I mean, I don't even know. Is there even a single lynching of a black person that ever happened in Canada? I honestly can't say if there has been. I'm sure there must have been at least one. But I don't see the relevance in adding that to the list of hateful symbols. People use nooses to protest political causes all the time. They will make a doll of the president or the CEO or what have you, put them in a noose, and maybe light it on fire. Right? There's a statement that's being made there. There is a message that is being conveyed there that only a noose can convey. But apparently now that's considered a hateful symbol. So whatever you do, I guess, don't have rope on you when you're at a protest. in a very specific loop. And once again, just to reiterate the point, this is supposed to defend the Jewish community. This is meant to provide them, or rather the police and the state, with additional powers to arrest people and to find them and to otherwise punish them for hateful rhetoric against Jews. Which, first and foremost, the only reason that that is even happening, or one of the main reasons why that is happening, is a direct result of this diversity is our strength talking line, or rather talking point. Right? We hear this all the time. Justin Trudeau just wouldn't shut up about it. Carney keeps parroting this message that diversity is our strength. And lo and behold, what happens when you allow for people to come into your country that not only don't share your values, but are actively against, violently in some contexts, against certain groups of people, whether it's white people, whether it's Jewish people, or what have you. This is a direct consequence of importing millions of people, or letting them come in to our country. They will set up their cultural enclaves, and it's, as I've said on this show before millions of times, they will advocate for their own causes, and they will meet with their own people, they will live within their own communities, they will stick together, and when it comes to these protests, they show out on force, they go out and pray into the streets, and what happens when somebody of an opposing tribe comes along? I mean, look no further than what happened with our military. Right? Wasn't it just like, what, 3 months ago that the Canadian military had a scandal on its hands where in Quebec, when they started importing foreign soldiers into the barracks and training them, they found that there was intertribal conflict among the soldiers, and they didn't speak English, let alone French. And they didn't respect the women giving orders. I mean, like, should I go on? Do I even need to at this point? Multiculturalism, right? This virtue that has been forced on Canadians for decades now is now coming to a head. Where you have people that come in from places in the world that don't exactly like Jews. And that's putting it mildly. Okay, it's one thing. It's one thing to be a conspiracy theorist and think Jews run the world and to have some hateful opinion on them. It's a whole other thing to go out and protest, to stand outside of a Jewish business, start yelling at them, plastering their windows, yelling obscenities at the people just drinking their coffee. Right? To shout from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, global intifada, to cheer on the raping and the murdering that went on October 7th. I mean, are we really surprised that this is where it led us? Are we really surprised to see so much antagonism against it? And once again, I'm not defending what Israel is doing in the war. I clearly stated they're committing a genocide. I have plenty wrong to say about Israel. Okay? But the point of this topic here is to discuss Bill C-9, which once again, it is aiming to protect a single community at the expense of everybody else. This is going to be used to justify arresting people for anti-trans talk, anti-LGBT talk, and anti-whichever identifiable group talk. But this condition that they had regarding, let me see here. Regarding the places of worship, schools, and community centers, that is directly aimed to protect the Jewish community. Which, once again, I'm all for. No Jewish school should be getting shot up because of a conflict that's happening overseas. Right? The kids in there, the teachers in there, they have nothing to do with that. But the fact that we even need a law in the first place, that our existing laws regarding hate crimes and assaults and intimidation, they aren't enough for some reason. I mean, what is the justification there? What is the need for this bill in the first place? Now, here's the other concerning part of the bill. It says here that it defines hatred as an intense and extreme emotion that is clearly associated with vilification and detestation. Now, vilification, just a quick definition. The act of saying or writing unpleasant things about someone or something in order to cause other people to have a bad opinion of them. So if I say that there is a cohort of Indians that are scammers and they don't clean up after themselves, in fact, they are gladly trashing everywhere they live, and these people don't know how to drive, genuinely, they do not know how to drive or ride in the bike lane, is this now considered vilification? See, the other issue about Bill C-9 is the definition is so broad that they are now trying to classify an emotion as a crime. Make that make sense. Right? Make that make sense. I mean, I don't, like, what more can be said about this? And it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse because eventually we're going to start seeing in the coming weeks, especially since, you know, summer is when these protests come out, as the Iran war progresses or as any social issue progresses, we're going to see more protesters out in the streets, and we'll actually see what the effects are of this. And look, just by reading this bill, it is not looking good. It is not looking good. Right? I was very cautionary when it came to discussing certain topics on the show after the passing of Bill C-9, because I know that multiple content creators that are much higher placed than I am have been wiping their pages or going over past posts and having to re-edit them or delete them outright. And we genuinely don't know where this is actually going. Because once again, one of the issues with this bill is that now this power is given to the police. So on top of all the other work that they're busy with, now they are in charge, or rather they have the power to arrest and charge people under Bill C-9. Whether that means being able to come to your door regarding a social media post, regarding something that you said, or actually putting you in handcuffs during a protest. I mean, we are headed in the direction of the UK, and in every bad way possible. This is just, it keeps accelerating this whole process of making it so that certain groups are protected and others are not. Because here's the other thing, right? Here's the flip side of it. Is Bill C-9 going to be used in any way, shape, or form to go after the people that tore down all the statues of Queen Victoria and of the leaders of this nation, the founders of this nation? Is it going to be used to investigate the hundreds of churches that have burned across Canada? Is it going to be used against anybody that speaks out in hatred and vilification of Canada's colonial past? My guess is no. My guess is actually no. It's going to go in the opposite direction, and those people can get fucked. The founding stock of Canada can get fucked. Meanwhile, every other community thoroughly enjoys the protections of Bill C-9. Right? Is this in any way going to defend people that stand for traditional living, for man-woman marriages, for traditional marriages, and so on and so forth? I think not. I think not. Even though that is that is willful promotion of hatred against an identifiable group. If you are coming out on Canada Day and protesting all the people that are celebrating it and calling them genocidal maniacs, or saying that Canada's history is painted in genocide, right? Doesn't that technically, under this law here, state that this is a vilification of an identifiable group? If we're following the same standard, then yes, I would assume so. But looking at how this government has been operating, I am very much doubtful that any of that is going to get any traction. Right, and here's the other thing. When a Canada First government comes into power, what do you think they're going to do with a bill like this? What do you think they're going to do when they have the power to go after their opponents under the guise of this bill? Or even, even forget the Canada First example. What happens when an actual dictatorial or authoritarian government comes into power? And I mean truly like authoritarian. Not this gay banker carny version that we have now, but truly authoritarian. Right? Is anybody that actually supported this bill thinking of second and third order consequences? What happens when a government that does not agree with their stance and their beliefs on what is defined as hatred or who is defined under identifiable groups, what happens when somebody comes into power that does not share their interests, that doesn't share their worldview? This gives them justification to go after these same groups. And I don't know if they just don't realize that, or they think that the judges are going to be on their side, or that the police are not going to enforce the law against them. But this is just, I mean, you're leaving the door open to so many negative possibilities, so much pain, needless pain and suffering that is going to come out as a result of this. And that might seem like hyperbole for now, but anytime a society moves closer and closer and closer to the edge of, I mean, I don't know what you want to call it, 1984. That's obviously it's the topical example, but anytime that there is an incremental shift towards that kind of a society, a surveillance state, right, protecting certain groups and letting others just, well, fall to the wayside, to say the least. What do you think is going to happen? Right? Once again, on the last episode, we just covered this. Right? I believe it was either the last or the previous, the one before that. When a government abdicates its responsibility to defend the interests and to defend its people and their property, and by its people, I mean its citizens, its founding stock, the people that are actually going to live there and invest in the economy and raise their children there and put roots down, the people that actually are truly nationalists and that love their country. When a government turns their back on those people, when a police force works against those people and arrests them for quote-unquote hateful speech, those people start taking things into their own hands. They start seeing no political option. They start seeing the ballot box as a joke. They start seeing elections as a joke. So the only option that is left for them is violence. Which, look, I'm not advocating for, as I've said on this show ad nauseum at this point. But when you leave people with no choice, you don't leave them an actual opportunity to be sat at the table, to be part of the conversation. Instead, you vilify them. Instead, you denigrate them. You fire them. You ostracize them. You target them for hate speech. Those people are going to stop believing in institutions. They are going to stop believing in the rule of law. And when it gets to that point, shit turns ugly very fast. Right? One of the good things, and I'll just pivot here for a second if you'll let me. One of the good things about the Hunter Biden and Nick Fuentes interview, regardless of how cringy it was or what your opinion on it is, the fact that it even happened is a good thing, because it means that two people that so vehemently disagree with each other can actually sit with one another, have a discussion. Things might get momentarily tense. Somebody might say the wrong thing. They might stumble over their words. They offend each other, so on and so forth. But they can actually sit there in a room and have a dialogue. Right? When that no longer becomes an option, that's when the fists come out. That's when the swords come out. That's when the guns come out. If people are disenfranchised from the political process, if they are not allowed to participate in the building of their nation, and if they are othered, they will seek other means to fulfill their ends. And this bill is yet another extension of that. Because like I said, there's all these lovely protections for these identifiable groups, for the swastika, for the noose, and so on and so forth. Where's the protection for the white people? In Canada, to this day, to this very moment, right this second, it is perfectly legal for universities and other administrations, and rather other institutions, to put out job ads that explicitly say no white people. Right? In schools, children are being taught to hate their nation, to hate Canada because of colonialism, for racism, and so on and so forth. You are teaching a people, you're trying to erase their history and their ties to the land. You are disenfranchising them from day one. And now you have a bill that goes even further to punish anybody that speaks out against it, or rightfully, I think, has a negative reaction to everything that's been done to them. And some of the rhetoric that they may use is hateful. I mean, is it any surprise, or rather, is it going to be any surprise when this event inevitably blows up? When this inevitably gets used to arrest the wrong person at the wrong time, and then it becomes a flashpoint? Who wants that? Why would we want to keep escalating this? Because this problem, right? The problem of the rising of anti-Semitism, it's actually very easy to solve. Extremely easy to solve. Extremely easy. It's simple. It's not easy. And there's a distinction there. It's simple because the problem is that multiculturalism has gotten so insane that we are literally advocating for people from Gaza to come over, from people that are coming from a war-torn country to come into a nation that has a fairly sizable Jewish population. One second. Mother is calling. Apologies, guys. She has the best timing. What was I saying? Right, we are actively working on inviting more people to come here from Gaza. The government is still working on getting all these visas approved. It's still in limbo, but they're processing it. Does anybody really think that's a good idea? What happens when they realize that their neighbor is Jewish? Are those people going to have a rational reaction, or rather a reasonable reaction to their neighbor or to seeing Jews out in the street? I think not. I think many of them are actually going to be upset, to say the least. Right? What happens when these people come over here? Or what happens when anybody comes over here and they have a problem with either white people or Jewish people or gay people or what have you? Right? I might have some disagreements with gay people in the way that they operate in society, but I'm not going to walk up to a couple and sock them in the fucking face because I'm so filled with hatred for them. And that's exactly what happened. What was it, a year ago? 2 years ago? This lesbian couple was walking out east in either, I think it was Halifax or I believe it was Halifax. Yeah, they were just walking on the pier and they get socked by, not socked, they got assaulted by a group of non-whites, migrants, or what have you. Because they truly hate them. They truly hate them, their way of life, and they will not hesitate to let them know. Now, we have plenty of people that live in this country that are not down with the gay cause, that disagree with it to some extent or another. But the majority of those people are not going around swinging. They're not going around committing assaults. And yet, what happens when we open the floodgates to the third world and elsewhere of people that don't share our customs, that don't share our ideals, that I may disagree with you, but I'm not going to assault you? Right? What happens then? The predictable results. Because once again, the solution to this is simple. We put a full stop, a moratorium on immigration from nations that do not have an alignment with our values, which excludes the majority of the world. Good. Good. I don't want people coming over here, going out into the street, praying as a form of protest, bringing the influence of their culture where they have forced marriages, where marital rape is legal in India, as it is still to this day. Right? If we just did more things like that, if we actually were very careful with the kind of people that we let into this country, if we actually valued nationalism and a love for our nation, there would be no need for a Bill C-9. There would be no need for it because, once again, the criminal code already has a provision for this. Section 319 of the criminal code already makes it an offense to willfully promote hatred against an identifiable group by communicating statements other than in private conversation. And the government, for their stance on Bill C-9, argued that existing tools had gaps in addressing modern forms of hate, access to community spaces, and the way hate motivation is treated in the justice system. In other words, the Jews weren't getting their way, and they needed to get their way, and now it's coming at the expense of everybody. Which, once again, I'm not unsympathetic to that. Jewish schools should not be shot up. Jewish community centers should not be harassed. People living in Jewish neighborhoods don't deserve to be yelled at from a bridge for an entire day because of a conflict that's happening overseas. And yet this bill is needed because, well, instead of actually dealing with the issue of multiculturalism, instead of actually approaching that in any sober way, the government says, oh, that's okay, we'll just legislate it away. We'll just make it illegal. We'll just make it an offense. We'll just put people in prison. As if that's going to do anything. Right? As if that's actually going to do anything. With the amount of people they're letting out on bail these days? Like, come on. It's a joke. It's a joke. Right, so just as a quick review of the bill, if you haven't had a chance to read it, it now says publicly displaying certain hate or terrorist symbols in order to willfully promote hatred against an identifiable group is now a criminal offense. So either symbols used by or associated with a listed terrorist organization, the swastika, the Nazi SS bolts, a noose, or any symbol that looks so similar it is likely to be one of those. Which brings me to the question, what are they going to do about the ISIS dildo flag? Anybody remember that? We're at a gay parade. Somebody decided that it would be a good idea to put this flag up. Does this count? Hey, once again, I'm using this as an example. Don't fucking handcuff me. Cops bursting through my door. Is this count as a hateful symbol then? Is this in accordance with that law? I wonder if it is. I guess we'll find out. You guys might not see me next time. Guess we'll find out. And the penalty for this, for using a hateful symbol, is up to 2 years in prison. 2 years in prison. So I can't even, like, if so what if the political leader of the nation is genuinely fascistic and I wish to use the image of a swastika with their face on it to make a point, is that going to put me in jail? I guess, yeah, I guess so. I guess so. And it says here, defenses still exist if the display had a legitimate purpose, journalism, education, or art, and was not against the public interest, or it was done in good faith to point out the problem so the symbol could be removed. Okay. All right. That's not, it's not broad in any way, shape, or form. Cool. All right. Well, I guess we'll see. The other concerning part was the removal of the old religious opinion defense, where previously you could not be convicted of willfully promoting hatred if you were in good faith, expressing an opinion on a religious subject or based on a religious text, which has now been removed. So I guess you can't quote Leviticus anymore, which I don't understand. I mean, it's written in the Bible. So what is a Christian supposed to do if they are out protesting against an LGBT cause? There are other symbols and other, you know, words and passages that they can use, but that's got to be the main one. And now they don't allow that for some reason. Which, now that I think about it, I don't think that this is necessarily going to target the Christian faith as much as it would Islam, with all its edicts regarding the marrying of young women, or how infidels need to be killed, or non-believers need to be killed. I feel like that's going to affect the Islamic community more than anything, but in any case, let's move on here. It says here, if someone commits any criminal offense under the criminal code or another federal law, and the crime is motivated by hatred based on a protected characteristic, which, as I said before, could be race, religion, sexual orientation, so on and so forth, it can now be charged as a specific hate crime. Which, once again, these general groups, right? Hatred based on a protected characteristic. So this not only, once again, this was forced upon the Canadian people in order to protect the Jewish communities, but this is being opened up to any identifiable group. Any identifiable group. Except the whites, apparently. Except the whites. You can hate and shit on them all you want. Everyone else gets this protection. And the reason that I say that you can shit on whites all you want, is because this is exactly the treatment that we have seen from the protesters and the political commentators and even people in government. Talking about Canada's painful colonial history. That Canada's history is rooted in white supremacy. And so on and so forth. I wonder how much of that rhetoric is actually going to be targeted under Bill C-9. Maybe not by this government, maybe not by governments of the future, but at some point, I think this bill has a very high likelihood of biting the wrong people in the ass. It is going to be used to justify the mistreatment and otherwise imprisonment of people who were not initially imagined as a protected group for this bill. And of course, the other provision for the bill, the new protections for places of worship, schools, and community centers. Now it is a crime to deliberately scare or intimidate a person in order to stop them from accessing a building that is primarily used for religious worship or by an identifiable group for education, various activities, or a senior's residence. Gee, they were going to seniors' residences? Jesus Christ. And now it is a crime to intentionally block or interfere with someone's lawful access to those same places. Right on. Okay. And once again, just wanted to highlight this. The bill also updated the rules about when the Attorney General's consent is needed before certain hate-related charges can proceed. Now it is no longer needed. The consent is no longer needed from the Attorney General. The police can simply charge people for this. Now the responsibility lies on the police. Which, once again, as I said in the beginning, you're relying on street cops to be able to interpret, to understand, to comprehend the various layers of cultural and political complexity that go into these symbols, that go into these slogans, that go into these flags. I mean, what kind of training are they going to receive? And who is going to provide that training and that information to them? None of this is good. The Jewish community might see this as a win, but they truly do not understand that this, you are just trying to plug a hole in a sinking ship. A single hole. Because this is doing nothing to address the actual underlying causes of the rise of anti-Semitism. This is not going to do anything. This is just a band-aid measure. This is just appeasing the concerns of the Jewish community. All the people that currently live within this country that harbor some kind of hatred for them or that actually want to act violently against these communities, they're going to keep believing what they believe. Because they live within their cultural enclaves, as I said, they meet in their own mosques or other gathering areas, and they discuss these beliefs ad infinitum. They discuss, they organize, they protest, and they're going to keep doing it because they're here. Until these people are actively investigated, until we stop until we close the floodgates, until we start deporting some of these people that come from these countries where they hold these views, then none of it means anything. None of it means anything. They're just going to use a different symbol. They're just going to use different rhetoric. They're going to find a workaround for this. This is not going to actually put any effective work into dealing with this issue of extremism, of anti-Semitism. All it's going to do is just inflame tensions. All it's going to do is just put more people into the prison system for rhetoric, for a symbol, for saying something. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I don't think that going out into the streets and yelling from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free is an effective use of your time or even effective way to communicate your message. Or going around and harassing people at businesses. Right? In the same way that I don't think that people should walk around with flags of swastikas and cheering for, for Nazism. Right? And though I may disagree with that, right? Though I may disagree with that approach, I still think that those people should have a right to go out and to say these things. Anything that's short of a death threat, anything that's short of actually like advocating for violence against groups, advocating for violent action or calling for the death of these people, anything short of that is fine. It should be fine. Because at the end of the day, we want these people out there. We want to be able to see them. We need to be able to see them out in the public, to see their faces, to know who these people are and to know what they are talking about. Because the moment that you force them underground, the moment that you force them to obscure their message, to use a different symbol, to go into chat forums instead of Twitter, the moment that that stuff recedes from the public view is the moment that it starts to fester and to expand within whichever realm it exists. Right, let me put this concretely. The moment that people were getting banned initially after Trump's first term as president, right? All the mass waves of bans that were happening on social media and elsewhere, all the rhetoric against the January Sixers and so on and so forth that was happening back then, right? All of that was happening. While that was happening, these people were being forced to go elsewhere to get their news, to communicate, and so on and so forth. Right? Now these people were hidden from the public eye. Now these people were allowed to go out into the realms of the internet, into the nooks and crannies of it, to talk amongst one another, and they were no longer in public view. But we need to see what those people are saying. We need to see and understand their rhetoric. Because if we don't, if we start isolating them, if we start forcing them to use coded language or to just be very, very careful about where they actually meet and where they openly talk, now it's actually not clear what their stance is. Now it's actually not clear to what extent they are radicalized, at least to the public. I'm sure the intelligence agencies have a tap on that kind of stuff, but the rest of us are just in the dark. Anytime that any move has been made, I mean, really throughout history, really, to isolate and target a specific group, they immediately go underground. They immediately start meeting in their own areas away from prying eyes. That's where people get even more radicalized. That's when people get even more extreme in their methods. This is all that is inviting, right? And I understand that I'm building a hell of a slippery slope here, but I mean, come on. Can this be not more clear? For anybody that's been paying attention for the last 10, 20 years, what happened when the right was villainized? What happened to America, right, when the average white voter was just tired of being told that they were racist, sexist, homophobic if they didn't love Caitlyn Jenner? Or if they didn't approve of transing the kids, or if they didn't approve of diversity quotas, or so on and so forth. Those people got fed up and they elected Trump. And look where that got us. Right? Like that was a direct reaction of those people just saying, you know what? We're fed up. We're sick and tired. The system has forgotten about us, and you've been grinding us down. People have been getting fired for saying words, people getting fired over opinions, people are being targeted for not going along with the status quo. And what do? They rebel. They vote in the outsider. Their rhetoric gets more extreme. Their motives and means become more extreme. And that leads to nowhere good. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. And one thing I do want to add here regarding the First Nations example, right? Let me see if I can pull this up here. There was a recent conference at the Assembly of First Nations, right, their annual general meeting, where chiefs passed a motion calling for the federal government to criminalize residential school denialism as a hate crime. So as I said before regarding Bill C-9, this is going to be used against people, or rather the government is going to get pressured by various groups, whether it's in the indigenous or whomever, to go against anyone that questions the narrative, to go against anyone that questions the news or what they are being told through CBC or through their schools or through their bosses or what have you. Anybody that speaks out against the status quo needs to be fired, needs to be charged with a hate crime, and so on and so forth. This is where that stuff leads, right? Even though the NDP weren't able to pass that motion in Parliament, you have here the Assembly of First Nations, they passed a motion saying that we need to criminalize residential school denialism as a hate crime. Right, here's their justification. The denialism is not an academic debate, it's hate speech and it is fact. It re-traumatizes survivors, harms entire communities, disrespects children who never made it home, denies historical facts, and undermines truth and reconciliation. Truth and reconciliation. You have indigenous people that are receiving twice as much money as the military has, at least in 2024, that are still living without adequate clean drinking water, and this is what they're concerned about? The feelings of their people versus their access to actual drinking water? For Christ's sake, I mean, what are we talking about here? These people are delusional, and they're going to keep pressing that button to get what they want. They're going to keep advocating for it, and I don't know if Carney can hold out. I really don't know if he can. I don't know if he's going to be able to handle the pressure that these groups will bring upon him. Because it's only going to get worse. This pressure is only going to keep mounting and getting worse. If it's not the indigenous, then it's the trans people. If it's not the trans people, then it's the Jews. If it's not the Jews, then it's somebody else. So in regards to how this is going to change how this show operates or what we are going to do moving forward, I mean, look, first and foremost, I have never once on this show, to my knowledge, advocated for violence or for hateful acts to be conducted against people. I've said some mean and hurtful things about Indians and various peoples, sure. But I have never once advocated for violence against these people. They deserve the dignity and to have their rights protected under the same laws that protect mine. That's my fundamental belief. Do I think many of them should be deported? Yeah. Yeah, there's a legal process for that. It's actually not hateful to believe that illegal immigrants should be deported. That people that came into Canada under false pretenses should be deported. That people that are committing violent acts against their communities and affecting the lives of everyday Canadians should be deported. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's actually a perfectly reasonable stance. So we're going to keep going with that rhetoric. We're not going to stop. And Bill C-9, all it illustrates to me is that, look, they're going to try to put the screws to us. They're going to try to shut us up. They're going to try to shut us down, but we can't stop. Now, that being said, don't do anything stupid that would actually get you in jail just because you want to be defiant. Don't do anything that will, just as a piece of advice, don't do anything that takes you off as an effective person. Because immediately as soon as this bill passed, I saw plenty of people just like outright making straight up like hateful statements and videos and so on and so forth. Don't bait them. They will take you up on your word, and the courts will not be friendly to you. Because if we've learned anything over the last 10 years of liberal rule, is that they have done nothing but fill the courts with activist judges who, at the first drop of a pen, will not hesitate to put you in prison over hate speech, or what they deem as hate speech, or what is now deemed hate speech under Bill C-9. They share the ideology of the political class. They agree with them. They support them. Whether it's the Supreme Court of Canada, whether it's the provincial judges, whoever, in whichever posting in our judicial system, do not give them a reason to put you in prison. Because the moment that they do that, it's not a badge of honor. It's not an, oh my God, I owned the government. They called my bluff. Right? What you're going to be doing is placing yourself in a position where you are not able to act as a person, as a member of a family, as a member of a community for 2+ years. right? This is going to go on your record. They're going to keep tabs on you. You have to work within the confines of the law and still be able to communicate your message. If I can give any advice, it would be that. Because the moment that you're taken off the board, the moment that you become not even a martyr, but a sacrifice to the cause, your sacrifice will be forgotten almost immediately. Unless you have deep pockets or you are supported by some civil rights organization in Canada, you're not going to do well. Look at what they did with Tamara Litch. Look at what they did to her. The longest mischief trial in Canadian history. They tried her for mischief for what she did during the Freedom Convoy. If you think the feds are going to do that to Tamara Litch, but they're going to leave you alone, fat chance. They're going to do things to us that have never been done before, in Trump's own words. Right? And I'm not saying all that to say that we should roll over and take it up the ass. No. There is plenty of ways to rebel, because even despite what Bill C-9 says, it is still perfectly legal to say offensive things. Offensive and hateful are a different breed. Right? It comes from a different root. You can still be plenty offensive. You can still say things that are in line with Canada First and do things that are in line with Canada First, but that do not put you in prison. Right? If they did what they did to the Freedom Convoy, if they debanked them, they demonized them, ran their names through the fucking mud, trampled people. If that's what they did to them, what do you think they're going to do to you? What do you think they're going to do to people that willingly break these laws as a joke or as some kind of a taunt against the government? They're not going to hesitate. They are not going to hesitate to put the cuffs on you and to put you in prison. So yeah, I am openly advocating for people to follow the rules of the law. Yes, absolutely. If that means that you get to live another day outside of a prison, if that means that you get to live another day supporting yourself and your family and your community, yes. Yes, you have to do everything within your power to remain in that position. The moment you get taken off the board, the moment that you get arrested for some stupid hate speech, for a flag that you waved at a protest, that's going to kneecap the movement. That's not only going to kneecap the movement, but that's going to affect the lives of you and the people around you that depend on you. I don't know how much more clearer I can make that, so I'm going to stop with the grandstanding, but you know what? I might actually just cut the episode here. Because this is all I really wanted to cover. The other stories regarding the wildfires and all that. You know what? We'll do that on Monday. Because Bill C-9 took up the majority of my time. But in summary, right? Familiarize yourself with this bill. Familiarize yourself with what it means for the kind of things that you can and can't say, online or otherwise. Yeah, it is nothing short of a tragedy that this is the nation that we live in 2026. Yeah, yes, that speech is being policed. That symbols are being policed, and they are being done to appease one community at the expense of everyone else. Yes, I am in agreement with you, and I am right there with you, but you have to realize the reality. You have to realize the reality of the moment that we live in. Because if you don't, and you just keep firing from the hip, well, don't be surprised if consequences take you out of the game. Don't be surprised if you get a visit on your door. And this energy that people have towards this kind of stuff, the audacity that they have right? The shock and awe. This is the nation that we live in. Accept the rules that we are playing by and learn how to navigate them to win. Because we are in it for the long haul. Canada First and its mission may not see any sizable gains for years to come. But our mission is long term. We think in decades, not in election cycles. We think in decades. This mission is going to take a very long time. And it may not even come about in our lifetime. But at some point, we will win. We will win. And in order to win, we have to have as many people, as many powerful and influential people placed in the right places so that when the moment arises, they can act politically, judicially, in any capacity. Right? Fixing Canada, it's not a matter of a people's revolution. It's not a matter of going out into the streets and protesting. It's not a matter of posting on Twitter until you get millions of likes. That's flashy and it's arrogant and it is not a long-term or rather a feasible solution to this long-term problem. Right? The CBC is working against us. The public broadcaster is working against us with a $1.64 billion budget, which they just announced they are going to use to go against Canadians that speak out and speak disinformation and misinformation and so on and so forth. Melanie Jolie's office, just like, a week or two ago, a secret memo, a quote-unquote secret memo was passed saying that Canadians on social media need to be fact-checked. The government needs to put in resources in order to fact-check Canadians to combat misinformation. It was found out within the last year that the CBC, during the time of the convoy, they were going out and they were researching, or rather compiling, all the reactions that people were having to the convoy in support of them on social media. They were literally coming up with a list of people and keeping track of what they said. The universities are captured. The political process is captured. The scale of this problem, okay, it's almost impossible to consider it in one single sitting. Okay, the amount of judges that have been placed, the activist judges that are letting these violent criminals and these migrants walk scot-free because of their racial identity or of their immigration status, how long do you think it's going to take to get those people out? Because there's no way for us to vote them out. They have to be disbarred. They have to be dismissed from their post. Supreme Court justices have a lifetime tenure. How long are we going to have to wait until enough of them expire and we have the other people come in that will actually right this ship? Right? We have to understand the scale of this problem. It is not going to be fixed by Pierre Poilievre. It's not going to be fixed by waiting for an election. This is something that is going to be fixed brick by brick, year by year, until we finally arrive at a Canada First administration and the populace is willing to receive that message and not just reject it outright. This is going to take years of conditioning. Years. We are in it for the long haul. So familiarize yourself with Bill C-9, any of these hate speech laws, all the digital ID laws that are going to come about once the Parliament comes back into session in the fall. This is the game. This is the playing field. We have to familiarize ourselves with the rules so that we understand how to win the game. We do not win the game by getting arrested, by posting edgy tweets, by going out and protesting and making posters and placards. That is dumb shit. That is juvenile. That is short-sighted thinking. Our plans are in decades. What is that Dune quote? Let me see that quote. Our plans are measured in centuries. That should be the tagline for Canada First. Our plans are measured in centuries. I like that. But that is the ultimate point here. Right? We have to understand the playing field. Yes, yes, yes. It's unfair. Yes, yes. People are being mistreated. Yes, they're being targeted. Yes, the hundreds of churches have burned down. Yes. Yes to all of that. Now accept that and move on and adapt and overcome, like Les Stroud would say. Because what else is the alternative? Like I just saw an Instagram reel the other day of another planned Canada First rally. Like, to what end? What are you going to do? You're going to go out into the street. You're going to yell at the top of your lungs against counter protesters. You might get into a fist fight with one of them, catch an assault charge. To what end? What is that actually going to achieve? Who does that actually benefit besides yourself and your ego? No, we can't rely on those kind of tactics. We have to think smarter. We have to think on a long-term basis. Otherwise, there's no win, because our enemies are doing the exact same thing. They are thinking in terms of decades. They are planning for institutional capture to benefit them. We have to do the same. We have to play their game. There is no other way to win this. And so with that, I think I'll end the episode, because I don't know how much more I can say on Bill C-9. Like I said, just familiarize yourself with the text, plug it into AI, summarize it. If you don't have a legal background or are not able to understand it, summarize it. The full text of the bill is there. Anyone can just Google it and read it, find out what actually is legal and illegal, and follow the law. Follow the law and trust in the plan that eventually, when the time is right, Canada First will win. Because fundamentally, we have the truth on our side. And the truth on a long enough timeline always wins. Always. So without further ado, I thank each and every one of you for tuning in to a very special episode of Canada First. Like I said before, I'm just going to pop the link to the store in the chat there, if you haven't had a chance to see it. We got 2 stickers, an elbows up and a Crookfield. This one's probably my favorite. I of the two, I think I like this one a lot more. There's just something about Crookfield that tickles the fancy, you know. There's just something about that. There's just something about, and also seeing elbows up, yeah, classic. So more merch on the way, like I said. 1 stickers goes for 7, 5 go for 20, 10 go for 35. So the more you buy, the more you save. And like I said at the beginning, do not at any cost take these stickers and put them in public places where they do not belong, like public transit or on a glass door or anywhere that is visible to the general public. Do not do that. Do not do that. Only use it to sticker up your laptop or what have you. Your own property is what I am saying. This sticker is huge, by the way. It's 5 by 5 inches, which is like... Let me see. I got a ruler here. It's like that. Oh, I guess it doesn't really show up on the pixel. Like that. That's essentially... That's 5 inches. That's 5 inches by 5 inches right there. That is fucking huge. So yeah, these things are pretty big. Gonna be hard to miss. But yeah, more stuff on the way. Link is in the chat. You can use the referral code WHITEPILL to save yourself $10 on each purchase. And there is also a free shipping policy. So saves you some money there. If you want to support the stream, I prefer if you guys could just like, comment, subscribe on Rumble, as that is the main platform where we have all things Canada First. But if you want to take an extra step and have a question or a donation that you want read on stream, you're going to have to use the PayPal link, which is the second link there. Also a Bitcoin, or rather a crypto link if you want to send some crypto our way. And don't forget, there is a Telegram chat in which I am active and posting every now and then. Any and all updates for the Canada First project are going to be messaged there first. So I'm always hanging in there. Please join us. And yeah, I guess without further ado, I will see you guys this coming Monday, which, yeah, I guess we'll cover the wildfire story that I've been meaning to discuss for the last week or so, and some more stuff regarding the Canada versus America front, because Jesus Christ, the rhetoric online and even just between our political leaders has been nothing short of embarrassing. I mean, just completely shitting on the remnants of the reputation of Canada. All the goodwill that we have earned with the world is just going down the drain every single time these people open up their mouths. So we'll cover that on Monday. And once again, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you. And I hope you have yourself a nice evening, and we'll see you Monday.